YouTube. Hello, guys. Today we're talking about something that I think about all the time because the singers who I work with are not just dabblers. They're singers who are in it to win it. They're singers who want to stay the course for a long and successful singing career. And so today we're going to talk about the best thing that you can do to have a long, successful singing career, how to weather the ups and downs so that you don't give up before you achieve the success that you want. And so part of this today is about how to stay the course without experiencing all the pressure, the stress, the frustration that so often accompanies this career, so that you get to walk through this journey with real joy so that you don't give up before you've found that success. And to me, there's one major pitfall, major culprit that cuts singing careers short before they've had the chance to flourish. So today we're going to do some hunting. We're going to go hunting and we're going to hunt down this thief and take them out before they can continue to do any more damage to your singing career. And you may be wondering, who is this thief? Who's this? Well, so you've got your whole team around you. You've got your voice teacher, your coaches. If you're a recording artist, maybe you've got producers and engineers. You have co-writers. Maybe you've got managers. If you're out there an auditioning singer, right? You're working with casting agents and directors and all these things. But amidst all these people, there's someone else that's actually been running the show for a while now, and they are a saboteur. And they are so good at influencing your singing, what happens on stage and off, your career choices, that you don't even notice that you're being manipulated. And when you listen to them, it does not turn out well. It rarely turns out well. So this is the time to blow the whistle on them. It's time to fire them from this job that they have held for a long, long time. And what I'm talking about is your inner critic. You guys, your inner critic is the number one saboteur of long, successful singing careers. We all have one, just some are louder and more abusive than others. And I read your comments on my YouTube videos and on the posts that you put in our Pro Singer Success Collective on Facebook. And when I talk to singers in our program, you guys are so hard on yourself. It's like inner critic run riot. And you are so used to being beat up by your inner critic that you don't even recognize how bad it is. It's like an abusive relationship. If a woman has only ever been in abusive relationships with men, she thinks it's normal because it's all she's ever known. And some of us don't even realize how abusive our inner critic is and how badly we speak to ourselves because it's always been that way. We don't know any different. If you're watching this, do you have a really loud, abusive inner critic? The inner critic that's always telling you, you can't do it, you suck, you're not worth it, you're not worthy enough, all of those things. Tell me in the chat, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the recording. Because if you start to really notice this, can you imagine how that affects your voice and your sound and your technique? We physicalize our thoughts, our emotions. It's just part of what we do as human beings, and we carry them in our body. So if you've got a permanent resident in your head who's beating you up, and you're carrying that then in your body too. So now you've got to sing, and then several things can happen. You're either afraid to really go for it and trust your body and your technique because your inner critic just berates you with how inferior you are. So you don't believe you can do it, and then you don't. Right? That's one of my famous favorite quotes by a famous, is by Tom, Ford automobile from, turn of the century. He said, Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right, right? So you're afraid to go for it because your inner critic is telling you you can't do it, and so you don't do it. You back away from that connection to your body, to your support, and then your sound suffers. And then you're in your head instead of in the moment of the song. And then your connection to the audience suffers. And you don't want to unleash that beating that your inner critic is going to give you. So you don't sing or if you don't sing well, you don't want to have to like weather that beating by your inner critic. So then what you do is you overcompensate. You get all up in there and you make and force and do and manipulate with your sound and your body in an effort to control the outcome of the sound. But now your pitch suffers. You're in strain and tension. You're pushing and you're overdoing. And now you've lost your connection to your audience because you come across as trying too hard. You've all seen singers like that. And so when you've got an inner critic who's not in check, it becomes very hard to stay the course and empower yourself to do everything you need to do to build a free and fearless foundation for your singing so you can have success. So how could you stay the course with that inner critic like constantly sabotaging you? So you've got to fire the inner critic, truly. I have students in our intensive training program write actual termination letters to their inner critic. You know, dear inner critic, sometimes I have them give it a name, right? Like, dear nagging Nancy, your position has been eliminated. We are taking the company in a new direction and your services are no longer needed. You've got to fire the inner critic and align with the voice of your awareness, your true self. The true self that's aligned with compassion for you, for others. It can look inwards at all your insecurities with honesty and courage and acceptance. And that's what allows you to be vulnerable and take inspired risks because it doesn't judge. The true self knows that you are perfectly imperfect the way you are. And it's just this unconditionally loving and accepting awareness, and its presence is there for you to tap into at all times. And because when you're in insecurity, in your self-doubt and shame for all the ways in which you perceive that you're inadequate, please know that that is not your true self talking. It's just the ego mind, what I call the monkey mind, in the form of the inner critic, thinking that it can scare you into not failing at your passion, at your job, at your relationship, whatever it may be. The thing, guys, that the ego mind is the most terrified at is failing. True. So the ego mind has created the inner critic as a means of protection. It thinks if it beats you up enough and scares you enough, then you won't fail. But we all know how well that works out. So we've got to fire the inner critic. And it's going to try to come back. It doesn't like being fired. It's been doing this job a long time. But when it tries to come back, you get to detach from inner critic. You get to laugh at it. Ha 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 ha, inner critic. You're so predictable. Didn't I fire you a month ago? Remember, pretty sure I fired you. Oh, you're so predictable, telling me all the ways in which I'm not good enough. We fired you. Sorry. Bye-bye. And then realign with your true self and listen to that voice. That's the voice of your uniqueness, of your power, of your vulnerability, of all the things that make you a great performer. But it's a practice to learn how to listen to that little voice, the voice of your true self, instead of that loud, screaming voice of the inner critic constantly screaming at you. If it's loud, guys, it's the inner critic. If it's the little voice, it's your awareness. That's how I can tell when I'm in my own, mind. Sorry, I have a hair that's bugging me. So you've got to get to know what the voice of your true self sounds like. Listen for it. Get acquainted with it. Invite it to spend more time talking to you so you can learn to pay attention to it instead of the counterproductive messages that your inner critic is bombarding you with when it tries to come out of being fired and retirement, especially when you sing. I want to tell you the story of a singer who always comes to mind when I'm talking about inner critic. She's one of our singers who has been through our intensive training program, and she has a wonderful singing career right now professionally. So her name is Grace, and she's a recording artist who records. And before we started working together, her records were just languishing. Like, she'd pour her heart and soul into them and then hate how they came out, and even more hate how she sounded. She always felt she sounded amazing when she was just, alone writing her songs, but then something would happen in the studio when she'd go to record and she could never get that same amazing sound. And she was so critical of herself, just chasing bad take after bad take, beating herself up. And she was doubting her talent, doubting if she was really good enough to do this. And she was at her wit's end. She really was not sure if she should throw in the towel when she came to work with us in the intensive program. But through our work together, what happened was we helped Grace get in touch with her true self, the little voice that we were just talking about. And when she realized that she had that awareness, that true voice, and it was a big light bulb moment for her when she realized that as a singer, she has a voice, but she is not a voice. Singing is something she does. It's not who she is. And so the inner critic, though, was making her feel completely inadequate, which was why she was putting so much pressure on herself when the producer hit record in the studio, and why all that pressure created the sound that wasn't good. That pressure, it can't create that sound. But through the work in the program, she broke through those blocks. And it took Grace learning how to employ what we call radical self-care to get out from under the grips of that inner critic. But with that learning, she could finally catalyze her technique, free her voice, and stand in the power and uniqueness of what she had to offer on stage, in the studio, all of it. And when she did, then big things started to happen. She won the grand prize as the best new artist competition, which was a big development deal. This is a competition that happens every year. It's called the Big New Artist Competition. She won it. She released her new record. And then she posted this in her Facebook. I'm going to read it to you. She said, "Last year, had you told me and my badass band, who I didn't even know last year, would play at the Crawford," which is a huge theater in Detroit, which is where she started her career, and get paid $5,000, and the Detroit Metro Times would cover it on the front page of their art section, I would not have believed you. So you guys, this is what happens when you learn how to sing and perform from your awareness, from your truth, instead of singing and performing as a reaction to your inner critic. And the question then becomes, but how do you unleash that? How do you find the voice of the true self? How do you get present to that and quiet the inner critic so you can hear it? You could go do meditation classes, you could do yoga, you could exercise, you could go to psychotherapy. Like, all of these help. They all help to some degree, but where they fall short is in connecting the learning to the moment of singing. It could take years doing it piecemeal that way. It's like two different silos. You have your expert vocal technique that you're practicing and learning over here with your coach. And then you have all your self-actualization work, getting in touch with your awareness, over here. And these silos are like 5,000 miles away, and there's no bridge, which is why it could take years, if ever, doing it piecemeal. And guys, this is why I work with singers the way that I do. If you're familiar with my content, we're always talking about mindset and skill set together. Because who wants to wait years for things to connect when there's a much more direct road to get you out of these old habits that are sabotaging your best singing so you can have your best possible shot at success? Because if you're doing it piecemeal and you recognize that it's just not working for you, you're going 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and you want direct guidance, actionable tools to be able to sing in a way that builds the best foundation upon which you can stack success, then I want you to book a call with me. Don't be shy. Every week I come on here and I give you tools and tips, and I invite you to book a call with me. And you might have heard me do this and feel like shy, or feels like, don't be shy. This is a free discovery call. I'm here to support you. We're going to talk for about 45 minutes. We're going to get clarity. We're going to figure out clarity on where your current mindset is around your singing, where your current skill set is around your singing, the big issues that are coming up right now, how all this is affecting your technique, your sound, your career. And I know that you might want my help to transform your singing and your career. And if so, we can discuss that and see if it's a good fit for both of us. And if not, that's okay too. We can part friends. I want you guys to know that there is a better way to train. And I want to share with you the step-by-step that we take our singers in the intensive training program through that gets a much different, much better result in a much shorter period of time. And if it feels aligned and if it feels like a fit for you, great. I'll show you how that would work for you. And if not, that's okay too. And so if you're watching this from Facebook, I'm going to put the link in the chat right now to be able to book a call with me. And if you're watching in YouTube, I will put it in the comments as well. So here we go. Here's on Facebook. Okay, there we go. And here is the link to book a call on YouTube in the comments. All right. So I just want to empower you not to be shy, but I also want to give you some guidelines about who this call is for. So if you have had, let me put it the other way. If you're a new singer, meaning you're not out there, feeling called to perform and audition and record, and you're not already in the hustle of that. If you have not had any one-on-one training before, this call is not for you yet. Go get that first. This would be a great time to get moving on that. If you have had a good deal of training and you are not seeing the results of all that training in your career, you are releasing records that is going nowhere. You're auditioning and you're not getting in the callbacks. You're not booking the roles that you want. You're putting yourself out there and pitching for gigs and festivals and nobody's hiring. Okay, if that's you, if your inner critic is really loud and constantly sabotaging and holding you back from singing the way you know you can, holding you back from taking actions to put yourself out there and do that in a meaningful way in your career and more than anything, if you're constantly feeling like inner critic is beating you down so that your journey is not enjoyable anymore and you'd rather quit than constantly feel like a failure, then oh my goodness, do not waste any more time. Do not be a casualty of your inner critic. Get on my calendar, book a call with me. This is a free discovery call. We will sort out what is not working and lay out the step-by-step plan for you to get out of your head, align with your true self in the moments of singing, be able to actually use the foundations of technique that we will give you to make a much bigger impact in your singing career so you don't have to give up before the success. Most singers, they give up before the success. They are not able, no matter how talented they are, if this is going on for them, they're not able to weather the ups and downs and they give up before they experience all the results of all of their work. So get on my call calendar today, click the link. Again, it's in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. I want to extend some serious gratitude to this entire community. I will not be live next week because it's Thanksgiving and I'm going to be traveling with my daughter. So I want to take this opportunity to share with you just how amazingly grateful I am that you have given me this incredible trust to be able to speak to you from my heart about the things that I have learned over the course of my singing career, the things that I know work, the things that I know don't, to be able to change the paradigm for how singers are trained so that you can be way more successful in a way shorter period of time and have a much more joyful journey doing it. So gratitude from me. Sending so much love for an amazing holiday next weekend. And I will see you guys back in December live here. Bye, everybody.